Good day. For our final history research essay in matric, we could choose any topic with historical value. In my free time, I like to read through military documents on WikiLeaks. For the uninformed, WikiLeaks is a website where military and intelligence documents are leaked to the general public. Some documents are currently still classified as top secret. While I was browsing through these records, I came across the codename Gitmo a few times. Gitmo is a name assigned to the Guantanamo Bay detention camp, which is a CIA and Department of Defense secret black site prison, and it is located in Cuba. I wanted to learn more about the secretive prison and continued reading on WikiLeaks. What I found were pages and pages of half-redacted documents about prisoner abuse and cover-ups. Many documents I found were almost fully redacted and very little information could be gleaned. So, the next logical step was to, of course, contact the CIA directly. I first went to their official website, cia.gov, where I discovered the FOIA library. This is a digital library where declassified documents are made available to the general public. Fully expecting to be ignored, I made a request for declassification of documents matching the following criteria: information or records on the use of enhanced interrogation on detainees at the Gitmo facility in Cuba. Fast forward 3 weeks and a mysterious envelope arrived at my door. It was addressed to me from the privacy coordinator in Washington, D.C. They acknowledged that they received my request and would search for CIA-originated documents matching those criteria that could be declassified into my possession. The first step in writing a research essay is always to formulate a question on the topic you choose. For weeks and weeks I debated this way and that way, and in the end I decided on the following. Were the enhanced interrogation techniques used by the Central Intelligence Agency and the Department of Defense against detainees at the Guantanamo Bay detention camp and similar black site prisons legal, and could it be justified? Enhanced interrogation techniques used by the CIA and DoD at the Guantanamo Bay detention camp in Cuba and similar facilities was illegal under United States and international law, and it further cannot be justified as it was brutal and produced little, if any, actionable intelligence. The topic of human rights is regularly discussed on the international stage, with the US being one of the most outspoken nations against its abuse. The US often sanctimoniously criticizes other nations for government-sanctioned abuses of human rights, but fail to acknowledge the systematic human rights abuses conducted and authorized by their own government. It is thus critically important to shine light upon these dubious actions. The United States broke international law by being in violation of the United Nations Convention Against Torture. The CIA broke US federal law by impersonating Federal Bureau of Investigation supervisory special agents while interrogating detainees. Also, the CIA director committed perjury on behalf of the CIA in the United States Senate. Additionally, the CIA's legal basis for the use of enhanced interrogation was based on inaccurate information provided by the CIA to the US Department of Justice, who authorized its use. On the other hand, some argue that due to Gitmo being based in Cuba, it is outside US jurisdiction and thus not liable under its laws. Importantly, enhanced interrogation techniques cannot be justified as it was not an effective means of acquiring intelligence. It crucially provided little accurate intelligence, but aided the enemy who propagandized EITs to gain more recruits. Moreover, the CIA's conditions of confinement were brutal and much harsher than portrayed to US policymakers and regularly pushed the bounds of human rights. After the 9/11 attacks in 2001, President Bush signed a directive to give the CIA power to secretly imprison and interrogate detainees who were suspected of being linked to terrorists. CIA personnel were aided by 2 contracting psychologists who started a program of indefinite secret detention and the use of brutal interrogation. Many consider the term enhanced interrogation techniques, which was coined by the CIA as a euphemism for the systematic torture of detainees at their black site prisons, such as the Gitmo facility in Cuba and the Cobalt facility in Afghanistan. Under Article 1 of the United Nations Convention Against Torture, the term torture refers to the acts intentionally committed to cause severe suffering or pain and can be either mental or physical. Examples of methods being used were beatings, subjection to deafening noise, sleep deprivation to the point of hallucinating, withholding food and drink, as well as refusing medical care for wounds, waterboarding, walling, and 162 other known strategies. Many believe that these techniques were illegal as they believe it constitutes as torture. The CIA's Enhanced Interrogation Techniques clearly broke international law. Many of the techniques were in direct violation of UNCAT, a treaty that was signed by the United States on 18 April 1988. An example of this violation was walling. Walling is where interrogators would slam a detainee into a wall repeatedly as described in a previous top-secret No Foreign Committee study by the United States Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. It is without a debate in violation of UNCAT Article 16, which covers acts of inhumane treatment. Department of Defense interrogators at Gitmo made it common practice to impersonate FBI supervisory special agents while interrogating detainees, despite the commonly known fact that it is a federal offense in America to impersonate federal agents. In an email written by an FBI agent working at Gitmo, he wrote about the DoD interrogators impersonating FBI agents and proceeding to use torture techniques. The purpose of impersonation was to ensure that DoD interrogators could not be held accountable should the detainee's story ever be made public. Furthermore, Michael Hayden, the CIA director of the time, committed perjury when speaking to the United States Senate. He spoke on behalf of the CIA and repeatedly gave inaccurate statements which did not match with internal CIA records. For example, Director Hayden stated under oath that Abu Zubaydah, a captured terrorist who was implicated in multiple Al-Qaeda operations, refused to cooperate and that he believed a significant intervention was needed. This is utterly false as it contradicts with internal CIA records that were made available to the Select Senate Committee on Intelligence. These records distinctly show that prior to the use of enhanced interrogation, Abu Zubaydah cooperated by providing information on Al-Qaeda activities, plans, capabilities, and more. On the other hand, some argue that under US law, even if enhanced interrogation techniques implemented at Gitmo were to be considered torture, it would still not break any US laws. This argument hinges on the fact that Gitmo is based outside the US in Cuba, and thus would not be under US jurisdiction. This, however, is not accurate. In the lease agreement between the United States and Cuba for the land where Gitmo was built, it was agreed under Article 3 of the agreement that the Republic of Cuba will hold its sovereignty over the area, but the US shall exercise complete jurisdiction and control within said areas. Therefore, Gitmo is undoubtedly under US jurisdiction and would thus be liable under its laws. Crucially, enhanced interrogation techniques provided little accurate intelligence but was used by terrorists to recruit more followers. A primary motivator used by terrorist groups was to propagandize enhanced interrogation techniques by describing the US's inhumane treatment of detainees at Gitmo. For instance, in a leaked classified telegram by Ambassador Richard LeBaron, which is still classified as secret to this day, it states, EITs are a key element undermining international confidence in the US's ability to conduct an effective war on terrorism that remains true to American values. This, combined with the fact that EITs have produced no intelligence of a threat neutralization nature to date, shows that it was not only ineffective, but it benefited the enemy, clearly showing that there is no justification for its use. Furthermore, the CIA's conditions of confinement were brutal and much harsher than portrayed to policymakers, as seen at the Cobalt facility in Afghanistan, where detainees were kept naked in complete darkness without any internal heating in the facility, with nights in Afghanistan getting as cold as -20 degrees Celsius during winter times. Due to these conditions, a senior CIA officer stated that he considered the facility itself an EIT. Moreover, the CIA regularly pushed the boundaries of human rights. Many techniques were physically harming and were the cause of psychiatric problems, such as detainees hallucinating and attempting to harm themselves. A case in point would be the EIT known as waterboarding. The act of waterboarding is a way of forcing the victim to experience drowning. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence found that Abu Zubaydah became completely unresponsive and that bubbles were rising from his mouth. This incident was recorded in an internal email but cannot be verified as 21 hours of video material, which included the session, were missing. Internal records describe that 83 times Abu Zubaydah was waterboarded as evolving into a series of near drowning. These unprecedented acts of torture were highly unjustified as caused intense suffering and produced little accurate intelligence. In summary, the CIA broke international law, specifically Article 16 of UNCAT. They further broke US federal law by impersonating FBI supervisory special agents to impede legal oversight. Furthermore, the CIA Director Michael Hayden committed perjury by providing false information to the US Senate on behalf of the CIA. Moreover, EITs were not an effective means of acquiring intelligence, and though it produced little accurate intelligence, it was propagandized by terrorists to recruit more followers. The CIA's conditions of confinement at the black sites, such as Gitmo and Cobalt, were brutal, with CIA officers regularly pushing the boundaries of human rights. Nonetheless, some argue that due to Gitmo being located outside the US mainland and being situated in Cuba, that it was outside US jurisdiction, but due to the lease agreement between these two countries, the US holds complete jurisdiction within the borders of Guantanamo Bay. By referring to all mentioned facts originating from declassified documents, leaked classified documents, leaked FBI emails, a committee study by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, US federal law, a lease agreement between the US and Cuba, and the International UN Convention Against Torture, it becomes clear that even though a small minority grasps at inaccurate data as a way to justify the use of EIT, it is still undebatable that the use of enhanced interrogation techniques is illegal under both US federal law as well as international law, and when analyzing facts and following logical reasoning, it becomes near impossible to justify its use. Thank you.